What if the language of neuroscience and the language of ancient wisdom were both pointing towards the same truth? Yes, today let us explore how the insights of neurolinguistic programming, modern science, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Kathopanishads come together to reveal a profound understanding of the human mind, the subconscious, and our highest potential. Today, let us travel together through two worlds. One is the world of modern neuroscience and neurolinguistic programming, and the other is the timeless world of the Bhagavad Gita and the Katho Upanishad. At first glance, they may seem centuries apart, right? Yet, when we look a little deeper, we discover that both are trying to answer the same question: what truly guides a human life? And perhaps, even more importantly, who is holding the reins of our inner chariot? Yes. So imagine for a moment that you are standing beside a flowing river and thousands of leaves floating upon its surface, flowing past. Some rush past in an instant, right? Some linger for a while before continuing downstream, and some disappear from sight almost as soon as they arrive. Now imagine that each leaf represents a thought, a sensation, a memory, an emotion, or an experience entering your awareness. Just as the river never stops flowing, life never stops presenting us with new experiences through our senses, right? Every sound we hear, every face we see, every word spoken to us, every emotion we feel, in fact, every moment leaves an impression upon the mind. Many of these impressions pass by unnoticed, just like the leaves carried away by the current. Some capture our attention for a few moments before drifting away, and a few become significant enough to remain with us, shaping our beliefs, our perceptions, and the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and how the world works. Hmm. The river represents the constant flow of life. The leaves represent the countless experiences moving through our awareness. And the way we respond to these leaves determines which experiences simply pass by and which become a part of our inner world. Now let's move to NLP. According to NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, every experience enters our system through five gateways: our eyes, ears, sense of touch, sense of smell, and our sense of taste. Every second, an unimaginable amount of information rushes towards us. Yet, we do not absorb it all. We just cannot. So, the mind begins its invisible work. The mind deletes, distorts, and generalizes, and it filters reality. Mind these words. It filters reality through beliefs, memories, our values, our fears, our hopes, and our expectations. And from this vast ocean of information, our mind creates something very personal: our perception. Yes, not the reality as it is, but the reality as we experience it. I'll repeat. From this vast ocean of information, our mind creates something very personal: our perception, not the reality as it is, but the reality as we experience it. A simple event happens outside us, and a story is created within us. And that story quietly becomes our truth. And over time, these stories settle deep into the unconscious mind. And that is when something remarkable happens. The unconscious mind begins guiding our choices, our reactions, our habits, our behavior. In many ways, it begins creating the life we experience, like a silent architect working behind the scenes. Modern research suggests that most of our decisions emerge from unconscious processes long before we become consciously aware of them. Yes, you heard it right. And this raises a fascinating question. If so much of our life is being directed from within, then what is exactly happening inside us? Yes? So, to explore that question, let us travel back thousands of years, right to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the setting of the Bhagavad Gita. At first, it appears to be a war between armies, doesn't it? But perhaps it is also something more. Perhaps Kurukshetra is not merely a place. Perhaps it is a state of mind, a battlefield that exists within each one of us. Every day, every moment, the battlefield where courage meets fear, where wisdom meets temptation, where clarity meets confusion, and where dharma and adharma stand face to face. Have you ever known exactly what the right thing was and yet found yourself unable to do it? And have you ever known that a particular action would lead to regret, but yet you moved towards it anyways? Yes, the ancient words attributed to Duryodhana in Gita capture this human struggle perfectly. I know what dharma is, yet I cannot bring myself to follow it. I know what adharma is, yet I cannot stop myself from moving towards it. How timeless these words feel, don't they? And how familiar too. Because I guess each one of us has stood on that battlefield at some moment in time, stood in that battlefield of our own mind. And it is here that another ancient image now emerges, an image from the Katha Upanishad, the image of a chariot. Imagine your body as a magnificent chariot in which the wheels are your actions, its horses, your five senses, constantly pulling towards sights, sounds, tastes, smells, and sensations. Your senses, desires, emotions, and impulses, powerful, energetic, and restless, always eager to move. Imagine the reins are your mind, and the charioteer your intellect, and the road is life itself, filled with turns, crossroads, choices, and possibilities. And seated quietly within the chariot is your true self, the Atman, the silent witness. Now imagine these powerful horses, these senses, spotting something very attractive, a pleasure, an opportunity, a temptation, or a fear. And instantly they pull with tremendous force. And on the other hand, the reins, your mind, tightens. And as a result, the chariot begins to change direction. What happens next now depends entirely upon the skill of the charioteer, that is your intellect. Yes, if the charioteer is asleep, the horses take over. If the reins are weak, the horses take over. If the intellect lacks clarity, the horses take over. And before long, the chariot may find itself far from its intended destination. Thinking, right? Yet, there is another possibility too. Imagine a wise charioteer, one who understands the horses, which means one who understands senses, desires, emotions, and impulses. One who neither suppresses them nor fears them. One who nurtures them, respects them, allows them to rest, learns their strengths, learns their nature, and then gently guides their immense power towards a meaningful destination. Can you now imagine how suddenly the horses are no longer a problem? They actually become allies. The very force that once created chaos now starts creating momentum. What a beautiful metaphor for our own lives, isn't it? Our emotions are not our enemies. Our desires are not our enemies. Even our fears are not our enemies. The question is simply this: who is guiding them? Are our emotions directing our intellect? Or is our intellect lovingly directing our emotions? And perhaps this is where ancient wisdom and modern psychology meet. Because mindfulness begins with awareness of our thoughts, awareness of our emotion, awareness of the stories we have been telling ourselves for years. Because as this awareness deepens, we begin noticing the beliefs hidden beneath our reactions, the beliefs that empower us, the beliefs that limit us, the beliefs that quietly shape our destiny. And once we become aware of them, something extraordinary becomes possible. Choice. Yes. For perhaps freedom is not the absence of conditioning, freedom is becoming conscious of our conditioning. Freedom is realizing that we can choose to rewrite these stories, reshape these beliefs, rewire all these patterns. And when we do, our unconscious mind gradually begins working with us instead of against us. Our thoughts begin aligning with our values. Our actions begin aligning with our purpose. Our emotions begin aligning with our direction. And little by little, this battlefield grows quieter. The inner Kurukshetra begins to transform, not because the conflict disappeared, but because wisdom finally took its rightful place as the charioteer. Beautiful, isn't it? And so, before we conclude, I invite you to pause for a moment and tell me, when our lives begin moving in a particular direction, who is truly responsible for that journey? Is it our colleagues, our spouse, our children, the circumstances, or the obstacles appearing on the road, or something much deeper? I'm sure by now all of us already know the answer, right? The Katha Upanishad reminds us that the chariot of life is always moving. The horses, our five senses, are constantly pulling us towards the objects of the world. The reins, our mind, is continuously interpreting, reacting, desiring, fearing, and imagining. The charioteer, our intellect or buddhi, as we call it, is constantly making choices about which direction to take. And the passenger seated within the chariot is the true self, silently witnessing it all. And the question, as always, is not whether the chariot will move. The question is, who will guide it? Will we leave our journey to the mercy of those powerful horses, impulsive senses, an untrained mind, an unskilled charioteer, and even to those obstacles which appear on the road? Or are we willing to choose in this very moment to strengthen the charioteer, train the mind that holds the reins, guide the horses with clarity, and consciously steer our chariot towards the destiny we truly desire? Yes. So, time to ask yourself, who is holding the reins of my chariot today? Am I allowing circumstances to decide my direction? Am I allowing emotions to steer my journey? Or am I consciously strengthening the charioteer within? Because each one of us has been gifted with an remarkable chariot, powerful horses, strong wheels, and a magnificent road ahead. Perhaps today is the day to awaken and strengthen the charioteer. Perhaps it is time to offer gratitude for the extraordinary tools we have already been blessed with. Time to reclaim the reins, to honor the horses, and to move forward with clarity, awareness, and purpose. Time to take full responsibility for the direction of our chariot. Time to move from a position of helplessness to a position of immense personal power. Now you can see, right, how beautifully the wisdom of neurolinguistic programming and from the insights of our Upanishads both unfold. The transformation unfolds in a remarkably similar way. As we become more mindful of our actions, we naturally become more aware of the emotions which drive those actions. As we become more aware of our emotions, we begin noticing the deeper beliefs, patterns, and conditioning that quietly shape our experiences. Some of these beliefs we may wish to strengthen, some we may wish to release, some we may wish to transform completely. And as this awareness deepens, something remarkable begins to happen. We stop living unconsciously, we begin making conscious choices. We begin consciously rewiring the patterns of the subconscious mind. And as the subconscious mind is gradually transformed, it starts guiding our thoughts, emotions, decisions, and actions in harmony with our deepest values and highest purpose. The horses begin moving in the right direction. The mind learns to hold the reins steadily. The intellect becomes a wise, capable charioteer, and the entire chariot starts moving towards its true destination. And when we learn to guide our inner chariot with clarity, discipline, and awareness, we gradually win that battle, isn't it? We begin harnessing the immense power of our subconscious mind. We begin expressing our highest potential. We begin living not by accident but by conscious design. And perhaps that is what it truly means to decode, align, and evolve. And always remember, the power was never outside you, it has always been within, waiting patiently for you to take the reins, sending you lots of love, reflection, and gratitude. Until we meet again, Kritika here, inviting you to continue exploring the extraordinary universe within. Take care, stay safe.